Wrong. Okay, so this call will be recorded and you can watch it afterwards on YouTube. The only people that will appear on the recording are the people that you can see on the screen. So that's our three speakers and myself. The rest of you won't be seen on the recording. So I am delighted to introduce our speakers for today, who, as I said, you'll see for the duration pinned on your screen. So we have Paul, who is the CEO of Hidden Disabilities Sunflower, who will start us off with a short presentation. And then after that, we'll have a bit of a Q&A session with him. Afterwards, we'll then have a discussion with the lovely Jasmine and Emily, who both live with MS and are keen travellers. So hopefully you'll go away from this webinar with lots of tips around travel and MS. As I said, there'll also be an opportunity to ask all of our speakers questions at the end as well. So you can do that by either popping your questions in the chat, but if you do want to ask any questions anonymously, you can do that via Slido, and I'll put all those details in the chat as well. So to access the chat, you should see a little button on the bottom of your screen. And yeah, you can put any questions in there. Right, I'm just admitting a few other people. And then I will pass over to Paul. Okay, so that's everyone now admitted. Like I said, please do feel free to turn your cameras on, turn them off, whatever you feel most comfortable with. And please do keep yourselves muted for the duration unless otherwise stated. Okay, Paul, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, or good evening, I suppose. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for inviting me along today, Amy. I'm delighted to be able to speak with everybody today. Let me just share my screen and remember to keep share sound point, which is just start the presentation from the beginning. So there you go. So yes, good evening, everybody. My name's Paul, and I'm the CEO of the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower program. And I am, as I said, happy to be here today to talk to you. And my presentation really is around what the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower is. Really, it's just a general presentation just to give you an introduction into the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower, what we do, who we do it for, really, and why we do it. So hopefully at the end of this presentation, you'll have a real insight as to what the Hidden Disability Sunflower is. So has anybody on this call ever heard about the red car theory? So if I was to ask anybody here, if you saw any red cars when you was out and about, or the last time you was out, or a journey today, your answer would usually be, well, probably, or you don't know because you wasn't looking out for red cars. But what if I said to you, I'd give you £20 for every red car that you saw today? Would you now know how many red cars that you saw on your way out and about? Well, you would now be looking for red cars, so you would be able to answer. So the red cars were always there. It's just that you wasn't looking for them. So the red car theory was created to demonstrate how opportunity works. So if you go through life and you are not looking and you are not aware, then opportunity will pass you by. But if you are looking and you are aware, then opportunities will present itself. So how does this relate to disability? There are visible disabilities that you will be able to spot. An elderly person who may have mobility issues, or a person with a hearing aid. But what about people whose disabilities are not visible? I'm going to guess people on this call are aware of hidden disabilities, but are you proactively out trying to support people with hidden disabilities? So if you go through life and you're not looking and you're not aware, then people with hidden disabilities will simply pass you by and you won't even notice. But if you do look and you are aware, you will begin to see the 11 million people in the UK with a non-visible disability. So how can the sunflower help? Well, the sunflower can be this red car. The sunflower can give that person visibility. They can choose to demonstrate by using a simple symbol that their disability isn't visible, and give all of us the opportunity to offer that person a simple level of care, kindness, and understanding to go about their day. And if you apply the red car theory and have an awareness of the sheer number of conditions and impairments that people are living with each and every day, you will begin to make society a better place. So whilst we are all equal, we are not all the same. And by using the red car or the sunflower in this instance, you can proactively take steps to support the community around you. So some disabilities, chronic illnesses or conditions are not immediately obvious to others. So for some people, it can make it very hard to recognise that someone with a hidden disability genuinely needs our support. So this is Maddie, and she always the sunflower. And before the sunflower existed, Maddie didn't have a way to demonstrate to others that she might need some extra time, care or patience whilst going about her day. And as Maddie is saying here, wearing the sunflower gives her the confidence to participate in many parts of society and places that were difficult for her to visit before. Safe in the knowledge that should a situation occur that she would struggle to deal with because of her hidden condition, she will be able to receive assistance without being questioned and without being judged. So the sunflower was created for Maddie and a billion people across the globe whose disabilities may not be visible. Now, this could be someone in your family, a friend, a work colleague, or it could be yourself. People with hidden disabilities represent a huge segment of the population whose needs are often not met and not understood. So if you have an invisible disability, you will not have any physical signs. And examples of hidden disabilities can include learning difficulties, mental health, as well as mobility, speech, visual or hearing impairments. They can also include asthma, other lung conditions and chronic illnesses such as diabetes. And it's when these diseases significantly impact a person's day-to-day life. And living with these conditions makes life very demanding for many people. Each person's condition affects each person in different ways, and without visible evidence of the condition, it's very difficult for others to acknowledge the barriers that that person faces. And as a consequence, sympathy and understanding is often in short supply. So the sunflower, it's an awareness tool that enables a person with a hidden disability to be recognised when they're out and about. It's a choice. People choose to wear the sunflower to demonstrate their condition and to show they may need additional support, help, or simply more time. So just because you cannot see it, it doesn't mean it's not there. There are literally thousands of hidden conditions, illnesses, and impairments, and the sunflower is here to support all of them.
Endometriosis is a condition that affects 1 in 10 women.
Since the cancer operation, I have a syndrome called LARS.
Generalized anxiety disorder, depression, eating disorder, traits of PTSD, so post-traumatic stress disorder, and then she's since developed and been diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome.
I've got post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD as it's known. I've also got a mild traumatic brain injury, so I suffer with like short and long-term memory loss there. I've got dyscalculia, which is like a form of dyslexia, but with numbers, which is acquired because of the bump on the head.
I get varying degrees of vertigo, so I can have clusters of vertigo attacks, so which means that for weeks on end I can have anything from 1 to 3 attacks of vertigo a day.
I was 30, so yeah, I was pretty young to have bowel cancer.
High blood pressure and something called borderline left ventricular hypertrophy. He also has other conditions, so he's autistic and he was diagnosed with autism when he was 2. He has ADHD, which he was diagnosed with when he was 6, and more recently he was diagnosed with Tourette's syndrome.
Hi, I'm Lucy, I'm 39 and I live with Parkinson's.
My name's Matthew, I'm 37 years old and I'm autistic.
To see that as I'm talking to MS together, multiple sclerosis did come up on the end. So the sunflower is for everybody here. So the sunflower was created in a cooperation between ourselves and London Gatwick Airport in 2016. And they posed the question, how can we recognise that one of our passengers has a non-obvious disability? They could recognise when someone had a visible disability, but what about these people's disabilities that were not visible? So the answer, it's a sunflower on a green background. And we created this alongside an airport passenger advisory group. And we also worked with local and national charities, just exploring this simple idea of allowing passengers to choose to indicate they have an invisible condition and they might need that additional support, assistance, or a little more time. And it was instantly successful, both with the passengers and also the airport employees. And naturally, you only go to an airport for one thing, to travel. So as other airports began to see people wearing the sunflower and saw the benefit of being able to assist their customers, then they also decided to launch. So to keep up with the popularity, we created the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower program. And we really have just one sole purpose in our organisation, and that's to make the world a better place for people with non-visible disabilities. And the sunflower just quickly spread to all sectors, to include rail and bus travel, supermarkets, education, healthcare, leisure, sports venues. I mean, anywhere now where people work, travel, meet or shop, the sunflower has a presence. And why did we choose the sunflower? Because it suggests happiness, positivity, and strength, as well as growth and confidence. Of course, it's a globally recognised symbol, and it's gender neutral. So, how does the sunflower program work on a practical level? So, we designed the program to support people with invisible disabilities by providing a discreet way to indicate they might need additional support, patience, or understanding when they're out and about. So it works in the following ways. It works on a way of recognition. So our sunflower is distinct and it cannot be confused with any other emblem. It's there to make the invisible visible and to show to others that the wearer has a hidden disability and might need that additional support, kindness, or simple understanding. We ask businesses to provide the sunflower for free to their customers and their colleagues if it's a non-customer facing business, so as to ensure that disabled people are not penalised financially for wanting to demonstrate they have a condition. It's voluntary. Wearing the sunflower is entirely optional, providing people the choice to indicate their need for additional support, but without having to disclose details about their condition. The core of the sunflower is staff training. So we train staff members within sunflower friendly organisations, and we train them to understand the meaning of the sunflower to the wearer, what hidden disabilities actually means, and then how to approach and how to support somebody wearing the sunflower. It offers privacy. So the sunflower program respects individuals' privacy because, as I say, you can offer them to signal your need for support, but you don't need to disclose the specifics of your condition. And it also fosters awareness and inclusion. So in addition to the practical assistance I've just explained, the sunflower raises awareness about invisible disabilities, fostering a culture of inclusion and understanding in society. So what do you do if you see somebody wearing the sunflower? First and foremost, remember they've chosen to wear the sunflower and they want to be seen. And there's no need to know or ask for a person's condition. And we also don't ask for proof of a person's disability. And this is due to the number of people who may be awaiting a diagnosis, or a diagnosis just isn't available. So anxiety or phobia is an example of that. So what do? Number one, simply ask if you can help. Be kind. Face the sunflower wearer and listen closely. Do not multitask. Have patience. Do not judge them. It is important you do not make assumptions around the person wearing the sunflower. And most importantly, show that person respect. But you know what? I mean, often just acknowledging that you have recognised that person has a hidden disability sometimes is enough. By offering a kind word to a work colleague, for example, makes such a huge impact on that person's day, as it demonstrates that you, and maybe the organisation you work for, understands that not all disabilities are visible. In 2023, the sunflower was awarded a Guinness World Record for the world's longest lanyard. We opened up our site and we asked the sunflower community to add their condition or impairment. And for each condition and submission that was entered, we added a metre to the lanyard. So at the point of closing the submissions, we had submitted over 800 conditions by nearly 3,000 people. So we created a lanyard that was 3,785 metres in length, a new world record. So just to give you an idea of scale, the lanyard is twice as long as the, 5 times the height of the shard. And someone would need to be 19,520 feet tall to wear it. But the point of this record was to create a visual example of the number of conditions that people are living with each and every day. Each and every one of these conditions will need a different accommodation and will face unique barriers in society. However, there is one thing that all the people that are living with these conditions have in common. It's that none of their disabilities are visible.
My name is Glenn Pollard. I'm an official Guinness World Records adjudicator. I've been invited to Anfield, home of Liverpool Football Club, today to award a certificate for a brand new record, and that is achieved by Hidden Disabilities Sunflowers, and it is for the longest lanyard.
People choose to wear the sunflower. It's a choice to demonstrate they have a condition. And if you see somebody wearing the sunflower, it just gives you the ability to offer that person the time, care, patience, and just simple kindness that they may need to get through their day.
I have dyslexia, dyspraxia and autism, and for me it allows me to take up space and not have the difficult conversations that I've had in the past. People think hidden disability or disability in general is a minority, but actually it's a majority, so I think it's a really good visual example of that.
So if you see somebody wearing a sunflower lanyard, recognise they have a disability that isn't visible, and just give them time, care, patience, and just simple understanding.
The world's longest lanyard currently resides in my garage, much to the displeasure of my wife. So if anybody wants a piece of lanyard, they've got about 3,700 meters stuck in my garage. The sunflower has become the internationally recognised symbol for hidden disabilities. In respect of air travel, to date, over 280 airports in 50 countries and 80 airlines recognise and provide the sunflower for their passengers. The sunflower is a truly global organisation, and we have operations in 4 global regions. So we provide the sunflower in Europe. We cover the UK, the EU, and the Nordics. In the Americas, we have representation in the US, Canada, Brazil, and Chile. In APAC, we are located in Australia and New Zealand, and in the Middle East, we are located in the UAE. And we are just about to, we've also recently launched in Mauritius, which is definitely on the bucket list for me to go and work out of that office. And we are just about to launch in Singapore. So globally, 1 billion people live with some form of disability. And while some people experience a disability is visible, for many, their disability is not obvious. So in respect of global air travel, our aim at the Sunflower is to help shape a world where people with hidden disabilities can have the confidence to travel independently and receive the understanding, patience or help that makes a journey a more comfortable experience. So our campaign at the end of last year was in the air. In the air, and the aim of that campaign was to engage with as many airlines as possible, because whilst we had a number of airports, as you saw on the screen, that recognise the sunflower, we did have a gap in regards to the airline. And obviously you only go to an airport, of course, is to get onto that plane. So that campaign really demonstrated to the airlines of the benefit of recognising one consistent symbol and the empowerment that the sunflower gave to its wearers. And by having this consistency, there could be no confusion as to the part of the organisation as to the meaning of the sunflower, and that offer of support could be swift and it could be appropriate. So the sunflower really is a truly holistic symbol, and we demonstrate time and time again of the organic growth of the sunflower within a country once a country takes the decision to support its customers with hidden disabilities. So obviously on this map you could see the airports that recognise the sunflower, and on the right hand side is the airlines that are sunflower friendly. But we literally have airports joining each week, and we are currently training 4 of the largest global airlines also to become sunflower friendly organisations. So do keep an eye on the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower social media pages and maybe our site, and then you'll be able to see what airports and what airlines are sunflower friendly and are trained to support people with non-visible disabilities. And another example of how the sunflower is being recognised globally was on the 17th of June last year, a law was passed making the sunflower the official symbol of hidden disabilities in Brazil. So this means that all government-owned organisations and buildings must recognise, provide and support people with hidden disabilities. And on the day of the signing of the law, Christ the Redeemer here was lit up with the sunflower symbol. So our hope is that other countries across Latin America will follow Brazil's lead and recognise the sunflower in law, increasing the awareness of hidden disabilities across their countries and beginning their journey on supporting disabled communities. So it really demonstrates that the sunflower isn't just a tool to be worn to be able to recognise through when you visit a location. The sunflower really is vital for fostering a culture of accessibility and inclusion. And this is due to several key factors. The sunflower raises awareness. It promotes awareness of understanding of hidden disabilities. It fosters empathy and it helps contribute to a more inclusive society. It's empowering. It provides disabled person a discreet way to demonstrate they have a hidden disability, and it enables them to access support without having to disclose their medical condition. It improves experiences and it ensures individuals can receive the necessary support, greatly elevating experiences in public spaces, reducing anxiety and stress. So as the sunflower continues to grow and is adopted by an increasing number of organisations worldwide, we really are doing our part, we feel, to demonstrate the impact of fostering understanding, empathy and support for people with hidden disabilities. Our role in promoting accessibility inclusion, to me, is clear, and our growing influence is helping to paint a future where all individuals, regardless of their abilities, are embraced and supported whilst navigating the world around them. So the Sunflower Programme is determined to support its wearers, the businesses that provide the sunflower and the wider disabled communities. Our programme not only empowers wearers on a day-to-day basis, but we use our programme to create employment for disabled people through the organisations we partner with. So my chosen partner in Australia and New Zealand is an organisation called Bailey House. Bailey House are a disability support provider that specialises supporting people with intellectual disabilities to live a full and engaged life. So based in Melbourne, they strive to ensure their patrons acquire the skills to fully participate in the community, should that be employment, leisure or travel. They currently support over 250 patrons with disabilities, and through Bailey House, we are delivering the Sunflower Programme across Australia and New Zealand. So the patrons of Bailey House work in the warehouse, picking and packing the orders to deliver it to its customers, learning life skills, demonstrate their ability to work in an environment where accuracy is key, and giving them the confidence to gain employment in the wider community. So this is just a little bit about Bailey House.
Hi, my name is Justin Bruce. I'm the Director of the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower Program here in Australia and New Zealand. We are thrilled to bring this program to the country as part of the Bailey House disability support provision. We support adults with intellectual disabilities, have done so for over 70 years, and this program enables many clients to choose to be part of our packing and fulfilment team, to learn new skills and gain experience in a working environment. The program is designed to create opportunities for pathways into volunteering work in the community, employment readiness training and the potential to gain meaningful employment. Many Bailey House participants really enjoy the work because it provides a sense of belonging and purpose, and most importantly, a sense of pride that's associated with being part of a broader initiative that supports people with disabilities right across the country.
I learn how to read the invoice and to know who to send it to.
Well, on Monday morning we get the envelopes. We get the papers, I fold the papers and give it to Daniel. Daniel passes it to Mary. Mary passes it to Jordan.
Is it teamwork makes the dream work? Have you heard of that one? I feel proud because I'm helping the people in need of ordering sunflowers.
Well, that's Bailey House in Australia, fantastic organisation that provides the sunflower across their region. In addition to Bailey House, we have a similar initiative in the Netherlands for distribution across the EU, and we're building on these initiatives year on year with other similar organisations across the globe. So this not only gives these organisations valuable revenue, but it enables its patrons to learn real life skills, see the value they can offer to society, and contribute in building the awareness of the sunflower and for people with hidden disabilities. And another example here is this video from the UAE. Organisations that provide the sunflower lanyard across the Middle East, well, this is how the product is made.
My name is Paul White and I'm the CEO of the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower. The sunflower is the globally recognised symbol for non-visible disabilities. People from around the globe choose to wear the sunflower to demonstrate they have a non-visible condition and to receive support and understanding from the community around them. In a unique partnership, the Zayed Hire Organisation in the United Arab Emirates have the exclusive manufacturing rights for sunflower lanyards available across the GCC, which will be created solely by people of determination in their dedicated workplace. And this is how they will do it.
So if anybody is visiting Dubai or Abu Dhabi's airports over the next coming period, ask for a sunflower lanyard when you get to the airport, and that will be made by People Determination in the operation that you've just seen there. So kind of finally for me, let's remember why we are all here. Or why the sunflower is here. It's for people with hidden disabilities. So if you see someone out in the street, out and about wearing the sunflower, this is the reaction that some of these sunflower wearers would like to receive.
Patience and time and caring.
To give them a bit more time to find words.
See it, take note of it, and just give that person a bit of patience and time and a bit of, understanding.
To be understanding that I'm not right in some way.
Now back to that red car. So I challenge you when you are next out and about to look out for these red cars and to use this visual experiment to challenge your mindset around hidden disabilities. Just imagine the person driving that red car has a hidden disability. What could you do differently to make their day easier? Could a kind word or offer of help enable that person to better access your business facilities or have a smoother journey? There are over 11 million people in the UK with a disability, and 80% of these people with disabilities are not visible. Now, not every one of these people will want to wear the sunflower, but for those that do, you will have the opportunity to support that person and to help create a fairer and more accessible society for them. So hopefully that's given everybody an awareness of what the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower is, what we do, and how we do it. So thank you everybody for listening, and I will be very happy to take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Paul. That was really, really interesting, and it's such a good reminder, what the sunflower is all about. And I think the reason why we wanted you to come along was just to show what a powerful tool it can be for people with MS and other, I know there's people on the call that have other conditions as well as MS, so it's just such a powerful tool for travel. And yeah, it's really nice to hear about the history and the training that you offer and the opportunities that it gives people as well. So yeah, it was really, really interesting. Thank you. If anyone does have any questions for Paul, you can pop them in the chat, you can pop them on the Slido if you'd prefer to ask anonymously, or you can just unmute yourself as well if you're feeling brave. If anyone does have any questions. Oh, that might be a question for later, actually. The question that's come through on Slido is, what do you do if you have an MS flare-up while traveling? I think possibly that might be for the panel afterwards, Paul, unless you have anything.
No, I'm afraid I've got nothing to add there. I mean, in regards to the sunflower, of course, the sunflower is a tool to be
Yeah.
able to demonstrate you have a condition. And as I presented, we train staff members as to know the meaning of the sunflower to the wearer. So if you are having a flare up because of your condition, no matter what, a sunflower friendly environment, well, the staff will understand that not all disabilities are visible, and the training we give them is all around giving you the time to explain what is going on, giving you, and for that person then to really just offer that kind word and use their common sense, which in generally is what can I do to help you? What is it that you need? And then don't question you, don't judge you, just take you to that spot and give you that ability to be able to whatever, just regroup yourself and to be able to continue with the journey. So within the sunflower, we're not specialists in any one condition, of course, we're generalists in kind of what we do. But that's really the advice that we give when people ask about how do we support a person who is in difficulty whilst navigating through our space. It really is about giving that person the ability and the time to communicate what they need.
Yeah, brilliant answer. Thank you, Paul. And we've had another one come through on the chat. So that's from Sean. What support at airports do you expect people with sunflowers to be given?
When we the expectation in regards to the sunflower really is first and foremost to bring an awareness of what that person has a hidden disability. Because of the way that spaces that provide the sunflower works, we haven't given them a firm list of you must do this, you must take a person out the queue, you must take them through a different space, you must do all these different things. We've avoided doing that because we wanted to make the sunflower accessible for all organisations. But what we do is we share best practice with all of the organisations that provide the sunflower as to how the sunflower has been most successful, and we give that organisation then again the ability for choice to be able to then to use the sunflower in a way that suits their environment very, very well. So within an airport environment, we really do ask the airport first and foremost to provide the sunflower lanyards to its passengers. So when you visit an airport, you'll be able to go to the customer service desk. You will be able to pick up your sunflower lanyard first and foremost, and you won't be questioned and you won't be judged as to why you need it. You will then be able to. You can then be confident that 80% of the staff, because we ask businesses to pledge that 80% of their staff are trained as to the meaning of the sunflower. So you can be confident that 4 in 5 staff, whatever part of the airport environment you're going to, will be trained to understand what the sunflower means. And then the hope is that if somebody sees you in the queue, they will make that decision based on their own environment as to take if they decide to take you out and move you through a different process. But really, the reasoning for the sunflower is to give the invisible visible. It's to give a person the ability to demonstrate they have a condition and to enable that organisation to provide that extra time, care, patience, understanding, kindness.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And we've had another question come through as well. So if you've had a bad experience whilst wearing the sunflower lanyard at the airport, for example, if you felt like you were not treated fairly, would you recommend complaining?
So I'd absolutely recommend complaining. The organisations that provide the sunflower are doing it for the right reasons. They want to be accessible to disabled people. They want to offer the accommodations needed, and they want to ensure that they offer a fair and equitable service to everybody. And the organisations want to hear feedback because it's only through feedback that they improve. Now, there's 2 ways to provide feedback. There's a way to provide feedback through the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower site. So if you visited our site, which is hdsunflower.com, we have a map on our site that shows all of the sunflower-friendly locations across the globe. And you are able to click on that site and give us feedback on that organisation, whether it's good or bad. Now, we don't use it like TripAdvisor where we actually publish it, but what we do is we then take that feedback and then we feed that back to the organisation that provides the sunflower, whether that's if we see a trend, if we see a pattern of how an organisation is not providing the sunflower in the way that it was described, then we go back to them and give them offer them more training, and we offer them that assistance that they need to improve. So there's really two ways. You can obviously go through the organisation and you can complain through their customer services. And my experience is with the organisations, they do want to hear that. Or if you provide it through the Sunflower site, you can be assured that we provide that information to our customers, and we use that information to ensure that organisation improves.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's great that that kind of feedback is in place, and that obviously you offer that training as well. Perfect. Let me just check. I've actually got a question. So obviously your focus at the moment is on air travel. Have you thought about off training in other public transport like trains? And yeah, is that something that you've thought about? I'm sure that the Sunflower is recognised on those transports, but a more like, have you thought about doing partnerships with rail services as well?
So every single rail company, apart from TfL, for God knows what reason, recognise and support the Sunflower. So if you travel across the UK, you will be able to travel everywhere apart from the tube, and you will be recognised and supported as a Sunflower wearer. Now, some rail services are taking it even further. So, for instance, Northern Rail have replaced in some they've actually now installed Sunflower friendly seating, so you can see. Because what we have found as an organisation is the universal symbol for disability is a person using a wheelchair, and only 7% of people, Amy, 7% of disabled people, sorry, are wheelchair users. And a disabled person walks out of a disabled toilet, and people don't see a wheelchair, and sometimes questions are asked. Or a disabled person uses a disabled seat, and they look like everybody else, and people are like, well, what's wrong with it? What's wrong with you? So Northern Rail have started to introduce Sunflower seats, and the comms around that is around not all disabilities are visible. If you see somebody sitting in a Sunflower seat, it means they have a non-visible disability, and they are just as much rights to use that seat as anybody else. So global. I mean, we're a global organisation, as I described in the presentation. And across the globe, we have got a huge presence in travel, whether it be rail travel. I was on a call earlier today with Metrolinx, which is the biggest rail travel in Toronto. So that's the bus company in Toronto. So across the globe, the Sunflower has been so valuable to organisations within travel. And what we hope the Sunflower does is not only allows that organisation the ability to offer their passengers the support, we hope that it gives Sunflower wearers confidence. We hope the point of it is to give people the confidence to go out and do things independently, because safe in the knowledge that should a situation occur because of their disability, they can be confident that organisations, in essence, will have their back, that they'll understand that not all disabilities are visible, and they'll be able to slow that pace down and give that person a little bit more extra time. So it's really worked it works from both sides. It allows the organisation to provide that support, and our hope is it gives Sunflower wearers the confidence to go out and do everything that the world can provide.
Brilliant, thank you. I think that is all our questions, unless there are any more. Please speak now if you have any more questions for Paul. We will send anything that's been talked about afterwards via email, including how you can get yourselves a Sunflower lanyard, and any other information around it as well, if you don't already have one.
Absolutely. Great. Well, thank you for listening, for everybody. Delighted to meet everyone, and yeah, hope to see you again soon.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you for your time. We've got a few thank yous in the chat box as well for you as well. So thank you so much. Right, we are now moving on to our panel discussion with Emily and Jasmine. Hello again, both. Hello, hello. Okay, so we are going to get started. Do either of you have a sunflower lanyard? Well,
I do.
Yeah, and have you found it helpful?
Yeah, I have. I find it really helpful, in particular in France, because there was a huge language barrier. The girl had, school level English, and I was, relying on my GCSE French. And as soon as she saw the lanyard, she just was like, "Ah, okay," and just went straight through security, no questions asked. So it was a real lifesaver there. So yeah, I've definitely had some good experiences with it.
Amazing.
Yeah, I have as well. And I think like what Paul was saying, it's kind of when you do put that lanyard on, it kind of gives you that power of like, the anxiety of, especially being young, young person with MS, like not many people can tell that you have got a disability. So just putting that on just allows you to kind of be free from like the fears of what other people think, or I don't know, I think in the airport especially, because I did use wheelchair assistance, I kind of don't know, sometimes think you could look like a bit of a fraud or people think you're faking it. So I think it just takes that anxiety and that pressure away.
Definitely. I've heard so many times in the MS community about, people getting funny looks or comments when they use kind of disabled facilities. So yeah, it's a brilliant tool to help with that. And I'm glad it's really worked for both of you as well. And I'm sure Paul will be very happy to hear that as well. So, are there any things that I know both of you love to travel and have both traveled relatively recently, I think both of you. Are there any things that you think about before planning a holiday? Do you kind of research the destination before, or do you kind of just wing it? How do you kind of navigate planning where you're going to go, what you're going to do? Emily, shall I come to you first?
Yeah, I am a chronic over planner, pardon the pun. But I will research as much as I can before I go, and not just things like, where's going to be the best place to get brunch or what attractions I want to do. I'll also be looking at, how am I going to get from A to B? And even before I go away, how am I getting from A to B? And I like to, think about how much rest I'm going to need beforehand. If my flight's really early, is it better to stay close to the airport possibly the day before rather than getting up at like ridiculous o'clock in the morning to get there, as well as all of the stuff that I'd be doing before a trip. And I do find I use TikTok quite a lot for helping me find some tips from other people as well. And also just as well thinking of the accessibility of the places that you're going to as well. So checking out reviews on the hotel if you need an accessible bathroom. I've recently just been to Alton Towers, so I was doing a lot of research on there for their accessible schemes so that I'm able to actually enjoy myself there. So yeah, I definitely possibly overplan, but I think it's better to be a little bit more prepared now than it was before.
Yeah, definitely. Better to overplan than underplan in a lot of situations. What about you, Jasmine?
Yeah, I'd say I'm the same, particularly in times of the flights. I think before I would more think of, oh, you need to get a full day, like get the first flight in the morning. However, for me, waking up at 2, 3 a.m. in the middle of the night and catching a flight will just cause more fatigue for the next few days. So just more thinking about how that's going to pan out for me on holiday. And also more so the location of the hotel. So has it got, certain shops? Is the beach local? I actually stayed in a hotel recently and the lift went down to the beach. So like you came out. So it was like really accessible. And also just like planning and looking that in. So I'd gone to a hotel and that did say that it had a lift, but I didn't read the reviews properly. But the actual hotel itself had a lift, but where the rooms were, you had to go up a lot of steps. So kind of just more factoring looking into the reviews and just making sure it is actually accessible and it's a good location.
Amazing. Thank you both for that. That was really helpful. And speaking of planning, so obviously one thing that you need to plan before going abroad, or even sometimes just traveling in general, is travel insurance. Have either of you had any problems getting travel insurance or kind of any tips around that? I know on the MS Together Facebook group, a lot of people do tend to ask about, where's best to get travel insurance and things like that. Yeah, what's your experience of being been with getting travel insurance? Jasmine?
I've never really had a bad experience. I've either used Stay Sure or Avanti insurance, and because I do like to travel a lot, I just get annual travel insurance, so I just keep renewing it. Because then in my head I think, oh, I can do another holiday because I've got that. So yeah, just rather than taking that pressure off, so just have that annual insurance there and just disclose all your chronic illnesses or disabilities.
Yeah, brilliant. And you, Emily?
Yeah, same as Jasmine. I use Stay Sure, and I used that because it was recommended to me from another person who has MS as well. And I've never had to use it, thankfully, but I've heard it's had really good reviews in terms of if you do need to make a claim on it. But I know it's slightly more expensive than some of the other ones, but I didn't have any issues with it. And I'm like Jasmine as well, I just pay for a yearly cover because I am going away so much. So it makes more sense. But also if you're going to travel in Europe as well, the EHIC card, GHIC card as well is something to make sure you have. If you're in Ireland, then you can still get the European one because you didn't leave with Brexit. So if you're in the UK, it's the GHIC one. So that's something to also make sure you've got too, as well as your travel insurance.
Amazing, thank you. I actually hadn't heard of Stay Sure, so I've learnt something new. There you go. I'll definitely look into that for my next trip. Jasmine, you mentioned that you have used wheelchair assistance before. So my next question was going to be around kind of accessibility tips when traveling by plane. So going to the airport. Is obviously, Jasmine, you have used that. And what was that like for you? What was the process like?
I think so. When I'd first used it, I was really anxious because I think going on holiday, that fear of, again, just using the wheelchair in the airport and people looking at you and people staring at you. But I remember someone like saying to me, like, don't be worried. There's so many people and they're all just focused on their own journeys. Like, you don't actually really matter. Like, everyone's so busy in the airport. No one's really looking at you. And I remember being in the wheelchair thinking, God, why did I think that everyone was going to be looking at me? Like, nobody cares. So kind of that really helped like take away that pressure. But yeah, so I used a wheelchair more just to save my energy because the airport can be so busy. It is quite far to get from terminal into the gates and things. I recently went on a solo holiday, so I was by myself. So that was a bit different using the wheelchair because usually I've been with someone, so they've been able to push the wheelchair for me. But again, it was just still, they were all really friendly, really nice, and they were like wheel you through the security and then wheel you through to the gates and then give you time that if you still want to go out and go shopping, you're not actually restricted to stay in the wheelchair. You can get up and go and get some food and then they just come back for you and then take you to the gate when you need to.
Amazing. That's really good to hear. And what was the booking process like for you? Was it quite straightforward? And how do you book airport assistance for anyone that might not know?
So I usually go with Jet2, but I think it's just booking through the company that you've booked your holiday with. So I just rang Jet2. I think it was just a few weeks before my holiday just to ask for special assistance. You can do a form online as well. So if you could just go on to, for example, if it's Jet2 or somebody else, Jet2 special assistance, fill out the form, just explain what assistance that you need, so if it's wheelchair or if it's just standing as well, because I have been on holidays where I've just used it for standing and not actually used the wheelchair. So it's just kind of cutting the queues when you're here or in the other country. So yeah, just explaining what your accessibility needs are. And then when you get to the airport, there'll be a special assistance desk. So they're all really friendly as well, and they'll just take you through it from there.
Amazing. Thank you. And Emily, what about you? Have you used any kind of airport assistance?
Yeah, I do use special assistance. I haven't used the wheelchair because anytime I've gone, they've always just asked me if I feel like I need to use the wheelchair on that day. And I would probably say, probably half of the time it has been because I've been anxious and worried about how I'm going to be perceived in that wheelchair. And then the other half of the time has been that I do feel like I can manage. And I just use it for, as Jasmine had mentioned, just for standing wherever I can like skip the queues for like border control and security and things like that. But usually they just let me use the Sunflower lanyard. And it's a pretty simple process and everyone has been really nice. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can add to that, but I don't think so. I think it's all been covered. I've just always book it with my airline, whoever I'm flying with. I've used it once with where we'd booked a holiday with a travel agent, and we just rang the travel agent and they sorted that all out. But I haven't used the wheelchair yet.
Amazing. That's so helpful. Thank you both. And what about, oh,
Sorry,
go on.
add to that.
No,
So
go.
when you're abroad, I think the anxiety is as well as like the language barrier, but there's always a special assistance desk there. So if you just go up to the special assistant desk, and because you have it booked, just give them your name and your passport, and then they'll kind of just help you with that there. And I've always found them really great abroad as well and really helpful.
Perfect. But I guess that's why it's good to book it before, so that, you know, they've got your name, they've got your details beforehand as well. So it's all nice and smooth. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. That was really, really helpful. And regarding other public transport, like train, bus, do you have any other tips? It's okay if you don't, but any other tips that we haven't already covered that might be helpful for people?
I just use City Mapper. I just need to use City Mapper if I'm going abroad. I haven't I haven't worn my sunflower lanyard or anything in another country to use the public transport. To be totally honest, the main places that I've used public transport on holiday have been on city breaks, and the public transport there is by far better than any of the public transport in the UK. And I have found that the disability like the sections that they tend to have bigger areas for wheelchair users, and then additional seating as well for priority seats, so it's never really been as much of an issue. You know, I've never seen any, you know, people demanding buggies stay on over wheelchair users, or people saying I need that seat more than you, because there has been a lot more ample space compared to here in the UK.
Fab. What about you, Jasmine?
I don't particularly use public transport when I go abroad, but I think I would just probably use Sunflower lanyard, and I've got an MS Society card as well, which I think is quite helpful just to, and I know kind of like Paul had said about the disability symbol, but even just showing people just to let them know that you have got a hidden disability.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And what has, if you have had an experience of this, what's your experience being like traveling with any medication?
So I've troubled with medication, but it's not for MS, it's for something else. And they are injectables. So I always keep them in my hand luggage, and I always bring a doctor's note with me just to be on the safe side, because it is a prescription medication. Haven't had any issues, so to say, traveling with the medication. It's more, I've had the anxiety of when you hear that announcement where they're asking you to check in your hand luggage bag because it's a very full flight. So anytime that's happened, I've just made sure I've made a point of saying to the ground staff, I need to have my bag with me when I'm on the plane. I can't have it go into the hold because of the medication. And if I haven't booked special assistance where I get to board the plane first, then they usually let me board on first, so that I can ensure my bag stays with me, which is very helpful, because then it usually always goes right above me as well, rather than like halfway down the plane.
Yeah, ideal. Little travel hack.
Yeah.
What about you, Jasmine?
I'm not on any medication, but I am on Ocrevus, which is an infusion I have every 6 months, and I kind of will just factor that in booking a holiday. So I know that my Ocrevus is always May and November, so I tend to avoid them months just because like I don't feel well before, or if I feel unwell after, so just avoid Ocrevus treatment months.
Yeah, perfect. Just planning ahead. Amazing. And then I guess when you're on holiday, do either of you have any tips on managing your MS while you're out there, you know, managing symptoms, dealing with the heat? Yeah, just any general tips whilst you're abroad. Jasmine, I'll come to you first.
I always kind of have a little rule while I do like one day on, one day off. So if I do have an active day, but it doesn't necessarily mean like loads of things, even if it's just going shopping or, you know, just doing something like going to the market, but just making sure I rest kind of in between that. So even whilst out as well, like if I just see a wall, just go and sit down and just make sure I don't overdo it and burn myself out, and then just kind of have a chill day in between, making sure I'm hydrated as well. And I think also when with people, I've recently been on a solo holiday, which was really nice because not having that pressure of other people wanting to do a lot. But I think when you are with other people, just kind of taking that pressure of yourself to have to do everything with everybody, you know, just rest if you do need to do it. And just taking your time and just pacing yourself where you can and just not overdoing it. For me as well, I tend to kind of have a healthy routine and like a sleep routine. So if I do fall off that, you know, I'm not saying like just be healthy and like you kind of have late nights, but for me, it's just try to stay in a bit of a healthy routine because otherwise my MS can flare up or start to feel a bit worse. So just try to stay a bit consistent, but balance, still have fun whilst you're there.
Yeah, fab advice. Thank you. And Emily, what about you?
Yeah, same as Jasmine. I like to have, if I've got a day that's a bit more full on, I like to think about the next day as being a little bit more chilled out and relaxed. And even not necessarily like even with a full day of doing stuff and then a full day of not doing stuff, having those rest breaks even just in the day that you're doing things as well. Particularly if you're going somewhere crazy hot, then utilize the times whenever it's going to be a bit cooler, so the morning and the evening, and then have your little siesta in the afternoon when most other people are, so you can chill by the pool or sleep. And I think as well, just thinking about who you're going away with as well, like what Jasmine was saying. I tend to just go away with my family now because I know that there's less of an expectation of me to try and get involved and join in. And I've kind of turned down a few girls' trips recently this year, mainly just because I know myself that I will get carried away and forget that I have MS and then completely regret it. So you know what you can manage and what your limits and boundaries are. And I think just because you're on holiday doesn't mean you can forget those and let it all go out the window. You do still kind of need to stick to it, but have a bit of fun as well. In terms of heat and things as well, I would say as much as you want to get those cute pics for the gram, you do need to think about the material of your clothes. So like, you know, cotton, linen are obviously really good material to wear in the heat. And being a ginger, I know all about avoiding the heat, so always know where the nearest shitty spot is. Have a fan. I think that's probably been the best investment that I've got is a fan, a handheld fan. I do want to get one that you wear around your neck because I think that would be even better. And possibly as well looking at making sure things are like rechargeable rather than having batteries in them because then you're going to spend an absolute fortune on batteries. So make sure you've got one that just needs a battery pack or plug it in to recharge. And yeah, staying hydrated, just drinking lots and lots of water or I know some people are into like their electrolyte drinks. If you're abroad, maybe coconut water instead. It's got good electrolytes in it. So yeah, that would be my tips.
Yes, I love coconut water and I always take a fan with me because it's a lifesaver, definitely.
Yeah.
Great tips. Do either of you, we've got quite a few questions come through, which is great. So thank you everyone for sending those in. Do either of you, before we get started on those, have any other tips, anything else to add just regarding travel and MS? Don't worry if not.
Also add just before, I don't know if anybody else gets like this, but I always get really overwhelmed before the holiday and I feel like I need a holiday from just stressing out from packing and, you know, trying to get everything together. And I always like to make sure my house is really clean. Like you don't want to come back to your washing and your bedding. So just trying to make sure you're not overwhelming yourself too much. So kind of plan it in a bit in advance or get someone to help you as well. Like I got my mum to come round to help me pack, just to save that feeling overwhelmed before you've gone on the holiday, like you've burnt out all your energy.
That's a really good tip. Yeah. And also when you come back, like you don't want to just feel stressed as soon as you come back. You want to carry on feeling nice and relaxed, don't you? So yeah, great tip. Anything else from you, Emily?
Yeah, just planning that before and during and after as well. Like sometimes I like to maybe take an extra day before and an extra day after off work just so that I have a bit of a way to ease myself back into reality. Also just things to think about as well would be like if you don't have a radar key, maybe get one of those for the toilets because some places will just use radar keys for their accessible toilets and an access card. I actually have a Sunflower lanyard that has a little clear wallet attached to it so I can keep all my little cards in there, which is actually really, really handy. So I've got an access card as well, which can be quite good for like attractions abroad as well. Sometimes recognize those too.
Amazing. Yeah, really good tips. And like I said, anything that's kind of discussed on this call, I'll make sure I put links to everything on an email as well. So hopefully that will be helpful. We're going to jump straight into the questions. So first one, I'm about to not only travel to the USA for the first time, but also travel for the first time since my MS diagnosis 2 years ago. Do either of you have any advice that you can offer to someone who is really nervous about it? I think all of your advice is very good, to be fair, but anything else that you could add? Jasmine?
I would just to say I would completely agree with that. I had so many fears. I remember crying before I went on my first holiday since being diagnosed, and I was just so worried about using special assistant because I think it is just a realization, like, you know, we have got these, you know, illnesses, but it's just using these things that are going to help us have a great holiday and have a great time. So kind of using a wheelchair or using the special assistance will help you save you powers to enjoy your holiday because you deserve it the most. Like, we go through a lot every day, so just give yourself that credit just to live life and just enjoy your time whilst you're traveling, and just be kind to yourself as well.
100%. Yeah, whatever will help make your holiday that bit easier and, you know, make it feel as good as it can, take it and get all that support that you need. Emily, anything to add?
Yeah, just you know, I get the feeling of being nervous before you travel for the first time since your diagnosis, and I was definitely thrown into the deep end with that. And that once you get over that first one, it does become easier each time. And you know, just don't hold yourself back because of your diagnosis. You're still you. There's more to you than just your MS. So still go out and enjoy yourself. But pace yourself, and obviously Florida's going to have the heat, so definitely bring the things that are going to help you manage that in the heat if you suffer with heat sensitivity. And again, like I imagine in Florida, I've not been to Florida, but I know a lot of people that do go to Florida every year. You can, you know, if you need a mobility scooter when you're there, you can hire one when you're there. Like things like that are they're going to be able there to support you. So yeah, just try and enjoy yourself and relax. And as Jasmine said, you deserve it. So yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you both. And we'll go back to the question that was actually asked earlier while Paul was still with us. So, what do you do if you have an MS flare up whilst traveling? Do you have any advice for that at all?
There's quite a lot of variables there, isn't there? Because you know, where are you when you have a flare up? Are you in your hotel? Are you out? But I would say probably the best thing is to not panic, and just do what you would do at home if you can when you're away. I did have a mild flare up when I was in Greece, because of the heat, and it just meant then I had to kind of not do what I was going to do for the rest of the day. But I was in the hotel, so it just meant I went back to my room, chilled out, rest, drank a lot of water, had a nap, and just kind of paced myself then for the next couple of days. But obviously if you are out with a group and on an excursion or something, that there's going to need to be something else in place there, which might mean you maybe need to make a first aider or something aware of your disability, and they'll have a plan hopefully on what you could do. So it's kind of a how long is a piece of string sort of question to try and answer.
Yeah, no, I think you answered that very well there, Emily. Thank you. And Jasmine, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I also had a mild flare up in Greece as well, actually. Very similar. And just like yourself, I just really just paced myself. I did get a bit upset because I was like, I'm on holiday, like I had plans that day, but I thought, you know what? I would probably be in work or be at home and having a flare up. Like, better to be here in the sun and just enjoying myself. So just giving yourself that credit, but also seeking medical advice as well. So if you are in a hotel, just letting people know, or if you're in the airport as well, there's lots of medical advisors there that will be able to assist and help you. I don't know if you'd be able to contact your MS nurse as well, just to see if you could get advice from anyone from like the MS Society. So just kind of reaching out and getting medical advice and support, and also just being honest to the people that you're with as well, and just letting them know how you're feeling so they can support you.
Yeah, that's brilliant advice. Thank you. Next question. How do you know if hotels abroad have a walk-in shower rather than a bath? Do either of you have any experience with that?
No, I haven't got any experience personally with that. I don't know if anyone else follows Neil on here. I can't remember his handle on Instagram, but he is a wheelchair user, and his advice that I've always seen him share is that he contacts the hotel beforehand to specifically ask them, because sometimes it's not that clear on the reviews. So that's the only kind of experience I've got with that.
Yeah, I was going to say on, for example, booking.com, sometimes you can book an accessible room, but I think I have also heard experiences where people have got there and it hasn't always been that accessible. So I think the best advice is to just...
Yeah, definitely on that, just ring and double check, because I actually just booked an accessible room in Legoland, and it was not an accessible bathroom at all for any wheelchair user. Obviously, thankfully, I'm not in a wheelchair, so I could access that bathroom, but definitely, yeah, ring ahead. That would be my advice.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Anything else from you, Jasmine?
Yeah, I'd say ring in advance. And also don't be afraid to kind of change your room as well. Even if it's not accessible, like I had a room and it was really high up and it was really far away. So I'd ask reception, it's just a bit too far from like the pool and the kind of concierge and the restaurant. So just being open and just moving room if you do need to, but definitely check with the hotel before.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And Jasmine, I think it was you that mentioned stand-in special assistance. So we've got a question. Did you have to pay for the stand-in special assistance, or was that free?
No, that's included in your special assistance. So you can't, I think there's 3 different types of special assistance: wheelchair and standing. Can't remember the other one. But you just go to, it'll be like the disability queue. So you'll just go there for like security or secure border control or getting onto the plane as well. So yeah, you can just kind of jump in the queues just to let the staff know. But no, you don't have to pay.
Amazing, thank you. And just another question about special assistance for you both. If you board a plane first using special assistance, do you have to wait until everyone else has disembarked to leave?
To get
My experience is only if you've got the wheelchair assistance.
Yes, so you have to wait till everybody's off to use the wheelchair. Yeah. But I wouldn't be too worried about that, because then when you do get the wheelchair, you'll kind of whiz past everybody when you go past them at passport control or anything like that.
Yeah, they'll definitely take you through the priority line, don't they, normally as well? Yeah, perfect. Does anyone else have any other questions? We haven't got any more on the Slido, and I think that's all of them in the chat. I'm just going to wait a moment in case anyone has anything else. Don't think we've got any more. So like I said, we will send an email afterwards. It will probably be tomorrow so that we can get all the links ready for you all, but we'll send that across, and anything that we've talked about today that might help you with travel, we'll put in that email as well. I am going to pop a quick feedback form in the chat, which I'll also send via email if you don't have time to do it now. That just helps us with future events, finding out from you what has been helpful, what hasn't been helpful, and you know what you would change or not change about tonight's event as well. We have finished a little bit early, so that's always nice. You can go and enjoy your evenings a bit sooner. But I just wanted to say a massive thank you to Jasmine and Emily. It's been really, really, really helpful. like I've even learned stuff. So yeah, thank you so much. And I hope it's been helpful for everyone watching as well. So yeah, please go and enjoy your evenings. And if you are traveling over the next few months, I do hope that this has helped. And I hope you all have the best time, because like Jasmine and Emily both said, you all deserve it. So thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.